So the first thing we're going to be doing here with AutoCAD is working on an orthogonal drawing. So this is an example from our first homework where you've got a front view, a right view, and a top view. And this one only has continuous lines, so it's a good place to start. So we want to open up Civil 3D as AutoCAD. So if you go to the Start menu and find your programs under the Autodesk folder, there will be a Civil 3D folder. And the program that we want to launch here is called Civil 3D as AutoCAD. If you don't have Civil 3D yet, but you've downloaded AutoCAD, you can just launch your AutoCAD program. So once the program opens, you'll see a ribbon up at the top. You'll see a little A in the top left, a big blank space that may be white or gray or black depending on your color settings. And then down at the bottom, a command line that may or may not be docked. So your cursor should turn into this plus sign. We're just going to get started and learn some of these things as we go. So the first thing we want to do is create a new drawing. So we'll go to New, and then we're just going to use the basic drawing template. And you'll see this opens up a new drawing. We're going to go to File, Save As, and save this. And I've already created under my C drive a folder called AutoCAD Projects, and I'm going to save this as Homework 2 Ortho Drawings and hit save, and you'll see that the title of this tab gets changed, and also up here you can see the change. First thing we want to do is set our units. So I'm going to just start typing units, and you can see that it goes directly to the command line down here, and if I type units and hit enter, it brings up this dialog. And what I want to do is set my units to decimal, or just ensure that they are decimal and decimal degrees. So there's other options that we'll get to, but right now we're going to start with decimal. Next, I want to set some of my drafting settings. So again, we can just start typing, and instead of typing out the full command like I do with units, I know a shortcut, which is just DS. And you can see again it brings up a list of possible commands there, and DS will bring up the drafting settings dialog. And so what I would like to do is make sure that under the Snap and Grid tab I have Snap on and Grid on. In the Snap type you want to make sure that it's set to this Grid Snap. We're going to set our Snap X to 1, so I hit Tab, and the Grid to 1. And then I'm going to turn off this adaptive grid because I don't want it to be changing sizes on me. I always want to make sure that the grid is 1 inch here, or 1 unit. Next thing I want to make sure is that these object snap and object snap tracking boxes are unchecked. It's just going to add a little bit of confusion as we get started here, but these are very useful and eventually will be used extensively. So again, I've got snap and grid turned on, and all of these options are set to 1. And then object snaps are turned off. So what I can do now is zoom in and out till I see my grid. Now if you don't have a mouse, there are commands over here you can use, like zoom in, and you can see we're zoomed way out. Each one of those little boxes is 1 unit. If you've got a mouse, you can just use the scroll wheel, if it has a scroll wheel, to zoom in as well. You can also hold down the scroll wheel to pan, which is just moving your piece of paper around. You can get to those same commands over here as well, or you can type them in. So the commands are pan, P-A-N, or zoom, Z-O-O-M. And the zoom shortcut's Z, and I assume that the pan shortcut is P, which it is. And then if you're done with the command, you can hit escape to get out of it. So let me show these two things side by side here. I've got the drawing that I'm trying to accomplish, and then my CAD program open here as well. And this drawing is just a series of lines. So if we go to the line command, which can be found under the Home tab, line, it brings up some prompts down here in the command window, and it asks us to specify the first point. Now if you move your cursor onto the piece of paper here, you can see your cursor jumps around, and that's due to the behavior of our snap and grid settings that we set, particularly the snap. So our cursor is only able to go to 1 unit intervals here, which for this simple drawing makes it very easy to draw them quickly. So for the first point, I'm going to specify somewhere on the bottom left, and then the bottom is 4 units wide. We go up 1 unit, and then we go up 1, 2, 3 units and over 1, and then all the way back over. And you'll notice we have some other options. We can actually close our segments here or undo it. Now these commands can be clicked on now in the newer versions, or you'll notice that there is a capital letter and we can just type that in and hit enter or space to execute that command. So instead of clicking on the last spot where I started, I'm going to use the close command by just typing in C, enter. Now I'm not finished, and I'm going to be using the line command again, so you can repeat previous commands just by hitting enter or space, and we can go back and add the rest of our lines. So again, you should get familiar with using escape and space to go back to commands. So escape gets you out of the command, so if you don't want to draw that other line segment, you can hit escape. And then if you are going back to a previous command, you can just use space or enter. So the front view is done. I'm going to hit space again to get back to the line command and do the right view, which is 5 wide. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit and pan over 5. It's 4 tall. It goes over 2, down, and connects. So escape. We can also use the shortcut for line, which is L, enter. And let me just finish connecting these spots. So again, it's just a series of escapes and enters to get back to our line command. And then the top view as well, 2, it goes back 3, over 2, I'm going to pan up a little bit, up 2, and down. So the benefit of having a mouse with a scroll wheel is that you don't have to get out of your current command in order to use pan. It kind of overrides the current settings. But if you don't have a mouse and you have to use pan, you'll have to get out of your line command to finish it up. And here you can see that with the snap and the grid, this makes very short work of these simple orthogonal drawings. So I would like you guys to work on completing the rest of the orthogonal drawings from your first homework, with the exception of the hidden lines, which we'll talk about in the next video here.